So here we are with another Toshiba laptop that we're going to take apart and look inside to figure out what's going on with this. And again, there'll be chapters in this video, so if you have a laptop like this from Toshiba or maybe something similar, you can go ahead and skip to the part where we start opening up the laptop so you can kind of follow along and know what to do. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start this computer up. So this is a Toshiba Satellite 2595 CDT, and what we're going to do here is try to figure out something that happened with it, because this is sort of kind of a complication from a repair that was done on it earlier today, where this computer for years was plagued by an issue with the keyboard where certain keyboard keys would actually trigger other keys on it. So like the A and the L keys were linked, the Windows key and the caps lock key were linked, and I think 1 and E and a couple of others were also linked. So when you press one key, it would try to print the other character as well. So while the keyboard wasn't completely useless, it was very troublesome to use. Now, the complication that has resulted from kind of fixing that problem is now a sound issue. And while the sound appears fine, in a little while we're going to be hearing some buzzing building up on the speakers, and then it's going to eventually just be brrr, and it's really annoying, and the volume control doesn't do anything for it. It's going directly out to the speakers on the laptop. You can plug headphones in and it doesn't matter. The headphones will work fine. In fact, the audio and everything sounds perfectly clear on headphones through the audio out jack, but the speakers, regardless, are producing a very loud, very obnoxious buzzing noise after some time. So that's why we need to take it apart and look inside. So I'm guessing that there's something going on with the audio amplifier for the speakers. It's not affecting, again, the headphone jack, but it's affecting the speakers. And for some reason, it has to do with the left speaker in particular. It's affecting both of these, but if I unplug the left speaker from the system board, the problem goes away, and then of course we just get audio out of our right speaker there, and of course everything is fine. So it's kind of just a waiting game for the problem to appear. Let's find ourselves some Beethoven. Oh, I can hear the problem building. Didn't have to wait too long. I'll bring the camera a little closer. You should be starting to hear some noise from the speakers, and it's going to build up as the computer sits there. And again, I'm messing with the volume dial. Volume wheel for the speakers is not making any difference to it. But yeah, it's progressively building, so it must be something that's getting warm that's causing the problem. I don't know if it's a loose connection or a corroded connection, but you'll definitely see when I open this up the condition of this computer, because the previous owner, apparently, or wherever it was, this laptop was not treated too well. And again, we'll see that when we get the cover off, how bad the inside of this thing looks. See, now it's peaked. That's the obnoxious noise. So yeah, that's pretty annoying, I would think. So let's shut down. So you can clearly hear the problem there. And as I say, if I disconnect the left speaker from the system board, that problem goes away and we can just get audio without any issue from the right speaker. But as soon as I plug the left speaker back, it works okay for a little while, and then that obnoxious noise comes back. So I don't know exactly why it's related with the left speaker or what's going on, but it seems like there's some weird, I guess, feedback or something going on with the audio amplifier for the speakers on the computer. So this is the part where we're going to have to take it apart and look at it a little more closely to see what potentially might be going on there. So for this, we will need our small Phillips screwdriver, a little dual flat blade screwdriver like this, and I do have this little small Phillips driver like this, and of course I got my magnifying glass so we can look a little up close and personal on the board. So the first thing we need to do is start with the inside here with the keyboard. So we need to remove this piece, take the little screw out holding the keyboard down, flip that up, take the screw out that's holding this plastic piece off, get that out, and then take the keyboard out, and it'll come out with that. And then we need to take the two screws out of the modem, because this has an internal modem on it. It'll kind of lift that up a little bit and unplug our touchpad buttons. And then we've got 3 screws here. This one here is a little questionable, which we'll have to look at. We take that out, so that keeps this part separated there, and then we'll work on the underside where all the screws are, and then we'll be able to lift it off. We also have to make sure to pull our LCD inverter and cable from the front there as well, along with our 2 speaker cables. So you'll see that in the video. So let's go ahead and start getting it apart. Okay, we're pretty much ready to split the case. And we're kind of taking it off in this direction. So we go kind of like this because we have the volume controls over here. And then once we get this part unsnapped, then the whole thing should lift. So we'll grab from the hard drive point, just kind of lift, work our way over for the snap. So it comes up like that. Then the back should come up just like that. And I think now you can see what I mean by previous owner not doing a good job caring about this laptop, because as you see, there is corrosion here, there's rust here on the TX CD-ROM drive that's in here. And as I say, when I previously had this open, again cleaning around here, there was obvious white corrosion and stuff on the system board. And of course, here's our awful Varta batteries, which I can see both have corroded tops on them as well, so the batteries are definitely faulty. So either the previous owner had stored this laptop in a humid and corrosive environment and just left it there, Or, in my opinion, I think what happened is somebody spilled something on the keyboard of this when the laptop was open and it got inside and corroded everything up. So that's what I think happened, is someone spilled something on this computer at one time. Go ahead and get the optical drive out of the way. Flip up the connector here to loosen our wire, and then just pull our drive up because we loosened it from the bottom. And again, our drive's got all this corrosion on the bottom and rust, as we see, as well. And we also have it on our little cover here. And as I said, yes, there was some white corrosion all around some parts here on the computer, and also down here on these video RAM chips as well. So yes, that was the reason why it was having such a problem with the keyboard not working, because some connections were getting bridged by the corrosion on the board. But you can see if we look by the PWB here, let's see, you can see potentially from the discoloration that, again, there's been some rust and corrosion getting on the board in some places, and you can see some discoloration on our video RAM chips that's there on the surface. So there still might be some traces of something going on here. So what I'm going to do, now that it's open, is I'm going to take my magnifier, and I won't show this part, and basically just kind of look around it, and then if I find something, then I'll come back and report it on the video. I think we're ready to reassemble this and try again. So there were a couple of things I found. Number one, I discovered the mystery with the screw here. That screw is actually supposed to go through the top cover into the hole there. So apparently it was on the other side, and that was why I couldn't get the screw out. And also explains why the back side here wasn't quite fitting on correctly. Couple of things, I went back through here again with some more isopropyl alcohol, or IPA, with a little cotton swab kind of around to see if there's any other possible places to clean up where there could be connecting. I know that this section over here gets a little bit warm because we have all these inductors and everything over here, because this is kind of the power side of the board here. So the fact that it was getting warm means something might have been shorting over there or something, causing a lot of excess power to be drawn, and that may be creating a lot of noise in the system that can possibly be picked up by the speakers and through the audio amplifier for those. A couple of other things we did, we worked on the optical drive. So we cleaned up what we could of the corrosion and stuff, but you can see that the rust has gotten into the metal there. So even though this is smooth, you can clearly see that the rust has eaten away the metal on both sides of it in some corners. So the drive, I know, is fully operational. It's just that it doesn't look very good because of the rust that's on there. We also cleaned up our little plastic cover sheet here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and reinstall that now in here. Under there, like so. Oh, actually it goes the other way. It goes this way. There we go. So I got our plastic sheet on there. And we also did clean up this area here where there was also corrosion and stuff from the CD-ROM present. So we did what we could clean that stuff up. But for now, let's go ahead and see about reassembling the system. So So far, so good. Let's plug in some power to the computer. Okay, it's got charging lights on. So let's see what happens when we power up the computer. Well, that's not good at all. We got nothing coming up on the monitor. Well, that's not good. Better pull out my post-test card and see what the heck's going on here. Alright. Turn the light off so we can see what codes it's giving. D4, D5. That almost sounds like memory again, which is something I just recently dealt with. Well, good news. There's no need for a part 2 because with this little follow-up I can say I have figured out not one but the 2 problems the computer was having. The first one, with it not booting, giving us those D4, D5 errors, are ones that I've seen before, which relate to memory. And I realized the memory expansion I had actually taken out and put back in, and apparently I did not seat it in the slot properly. So it was obviously not connecting the pins correctly, and it was throwing errors, because I took it out and the computer booted up fine, because there's 32 megabytes of memory built in on the system board. That's what those memory chips that we saw earlier in the video are. They're not the video memory, but actually system memory. So I put the module seated back in there correctly, and now that's working. However, we were still having the sound issue with the buzzing coming over time. I was like, oh great, well, didn't fix it after all that stuff we did, but so I was going to go back in and look while the computer was turned on doing the buzzing. And as soon as I loosened the screw for this cover here, the buzzing stopped. But I noticed if I press in on it, the speaker pops and starts making noise. It's like, interesting. And then I realized what was happening when I took the screw all the way off and took the cover off. The left speaker wire was getting pinched against the heatsink of the processor there. And I guess what was happening is there's a little tiny cut or something that happened on the speaker wire there, and it was grounding against the heatsink, and that was creating a whole bunch of noise and backfeeding into the audio system, which is why it was coming out the right speaker as well. And of course that might have affected other things as well. And that would explain why when I unplug the left speaker it completely stops, because it basically removed the grounding problem. So I reoriented that wire out of the way so it wasn't getting pinched anymore, and now we don't have any more problems with playing audio because the computer's on here. You don't hear the audio, but we can certainly play some Beethoven or something like that, and it's got no problems playing it. And it's coming out in nice stereo from both the left and right speakers. So not only did we manage to solve the original problem I was dealing with the keyboard here, having the multiple keys getting stuck to each other because of corrosion and stuff on the board, but we at least managed to solve the issue with the speakers now. Don't have to worry about that anymore. And we did, of course, also fix the issue with the memory not being stuck. The touchpad buttons are a little touchy as well, because I noticed the cable, and you probably saw in the video, I was having trouble with it staying in a connector. I guess the little spacer or something is missing from it, so it's not staying in there as secure as it could be, but I've got it in there and locked in. It's able to work, so I can, left click and right click without issue. So that was another potential problem that I kind of corrected as well. So overall, we are successful, so we didn't have a catastrophe after all. So we have basically solved all the problems on this 2595 CT. Basically, again, the original problem was the keyboard, since I had it, with stuck keys being cloned to each other. So that's fixed, the audio's fixed, the memory's fixed, the mouse buttons are fixed. So this 2595 CDT is now back in original working order with nothing else to hopefully worry about for a while. So with that concludes this video showing how to open and do work on one of these style Toshiba Satellites. Hey guys, Brian here. Do me a favor and click that like button down below, and while you're at it, go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content when I post it. See you guys in the next one.